Well, hi folks, and welcome back to Naturally Adventurous. This is Ken Behrens, as always, with Charlie Hesse. And we have a special guest today on our podcast, Nate Swick from the American Birding Association. So quite excited.
Welcome.
Yeah, welcome, Nate.
Hey, thanks. Excited to be here.
We've asked Nate to prepare his top 5 lifetime wildlife sightings in our style. So we haven't heard them yet. So we're going to be
Yeah.
anticipating these. Before we get into that,
Yep.
we'll say a quick thanks to our new patrons who've signed up on Patreon to support the podcast. We just launched our Patreon page last week, so thanks a lot to those folks, and we hope others will join you soon. Any other announcements or things to get out of the way, Charlie?
No, I think we're ready to get straight into it. I think you said just before the show that you had like an ice storm coming or something like that. Is that right, Nate?
Yeah, it's supposed to come later today. So this is February 18th. And apparently we're supposed to get like a half inch to a 3/4 inch of ice on all the surfaces. And so everyone is concerned about power outages. And I'm not looking forward to that at all. But thankfully it's later today and we're able to get this recording before all hell breaks loose.
Maybe the last one you ever make.
That's right. It's going to turn into Hoth or some sort of icy icy hellscape. Yeah, looking forward to that.
It's so weird because where I am, it is just the apex of the hot and rainy season. It's just bloody humid. The temperature is about 92 degrees and it feels about 102 with the humidity. It's just miserable. We went to the pool today just to cool off. So it's so weird to be following all this news and all these Facebook posts from the States where like everyone is covered in ice and snow. And to be honest, I'm jealous, which is probably ridiculous because I don't have to go like dig out my car, but I think it looks appealing.
It snowed in my father's garden back in the UK, and he sent me pictures of all this snow and a little snowman there. And my son was just like, he was just really quite angry that he wasn't able to build a snowman here in Thailand.
I wish we had some snow. Some snow would be nice. It's the ice that I'm really worried about. It like breaks all the tree limbs and knocks into stuff. It's I kind of
and it's just not safe or fun to drive in.
It's the worst. It's the worst of all worlds, really.
Yep. Well, I think most American birders are familiar with who Nate is. For more international folks and people who don't know him, we'll just introduce him a little bit. He runs the very popular American Birding Association podcast, which is a great podcast. I've quite enjoyed all the episodes I've listened to, and just all kinds of different topics. Cool, just running the gamut from like
I've been binge listening over the last couple of days just to catch up.
No, it's very well produced.
Big fans now.
Well produced and just lots of different topics. Just running the gamut from sort of taxonomy and rare birds to social issues and all kinds of stuff. Just the diversity that is birding. Yeah. So, and I guess you've been working for ABA for, you were just saying, about 10 years now. And then you were a birding blogger before that? Is that how you got connected with ABA?
Yeah, that's kind of how I started. Yeah, that's kind of how I started, or at least how I got on the ABA's radar. Back in the pre-social media days, if you can even believe it, if you can remember back that far.
Can't remember.
Nature blogs were kind of a big deal, and I had my own called The Drinking Bird, and I wrote about. I was working kind of a boring office job. And I had a lot of time to kind of write and think about birds, and so I was doing that a lot. And and eventually just kind of got on the ABA's radar because the ABA at the time when Jeff Gordon came on as president did not have much of an online presence at all, and so I was kind of brought on to kind of fix that a little bit. And so long story short, 10 years later, here I am, still doing stuff for the ABA, still doing bird and community stuff, and enjoying it. It's a great community to be a part of for sure.
So there's quite a lot of birding and nature podcasts around, but I guess you were one of the first, eh?
Yeah, it's I always think of I always think of sort of my inspiration as the late Bill Thompson III had a great podcast.
Of course.
And then he did one with Ben Lisdas for a while, and I love those guys. They put on a great show, and but they weren't very regular. Like they would kind of go like many weeks or even months between episodes. And I was like, man, I want more. I want more of this birding content, because podcasting was kind of becoming a thing, and I was listening to podcasts a lot in the car and on the bus when I was riding the bus to work. And it's just like, well, why don't we do one? And the ABA was thinking the same thing, and we just kind of put our heads together and came up with the American Birding Podcast, and it's been great. I mean, I love it. I love the people that people are getting something out of it, that people are enjoying it, and I think it's a really good outreach tool for the organization. And I don't know, I really like talking to people about birds and birding, and in this pandemic when I can't like talk to people in person, it's actually been a little bit of a lifeline to talk to people about birds.
Right. Yeah.
So that's been nice too. But yeah, it's I'm glad people are enjoying it. I'm glad people are listening. It's been cool. It's been a cool
It seems
journey.
quite sort of interactive. There's a lot of people sort of sending you messages, and I've enjoyed recently the pileated woodpecker stories.
Yeah, that's been cool. We tried to do that last year.
They've been a lot of fun. So.
Yeah, we tried to do that last year with the cedar waxwing, and we got a few, but not a ton. And it seems like we kind of hit some sort of critical mass now, and people are sending them in. It's really easy for people to record, pretty good usable audio content on their phones, and so just like you got a pileated woodpecker story, send it in.
We actually have got one. It's pretty
right,
fun.
yeah, cool. I'll record this and I'll put it in there.
All the tropical birding guides in Tennessee. I think we'll send one in.
Oh, right on.
Cool.
Yeah, cool.
So I like this
podcast crossover. Love it.
Yeah, totally.
Yep.
I like this bird of the year concept that ABA's come up with. I don't know who came up with that, and it's a kind of a funny, like a goofy idea in some way, but it works. And I'm always like strangely excited. Yeah. And when I saw it was pileated woodpecker this year, it was just like, it's it's almost like the Chinese New Year. It's like, oh, it's a good sign.
Totally. Yeah.
Wasn't that a big bird for you?
Absolutely,
Ken?
Yeah. And so was cedar waxwing, actually.
It was kind of spot bird for you,
one of the first 5 birds that just absolutely just got me fired up for birding. So I have lots of love for pileated. I'm sure
I think it has
tons of
that
people
effect
do.
On so many people. Yeah, it's just so dramatic and bigger than you expect, and just so cool. It's like one of those, when you first start birding, it's the first bird that's like one of the first birds that really makes you feel like you're doing something that's like totally wild and out there and run into anything. It's I mean, I still love to see them. I have a patch of woods behind the house, and there's been a pair that have nested back there that I hear from time to time, and sometimes they fly over, and I never get tired of them. Such a good bird.
I find it funny, we are so romantic about the ivory-billed woodpecker, and just the idea that it might still be out there is so exciting for me too. But then we've got these something that's very similar in a lot of our backyards, and we kind of like strangely undervaluing them in a way. The things that are like extinct or almost extinct or extremely rare are maybe overvalued in a way, and we tend to undervalue the common. But,
yeah, that's true. You've got some good flashy woodpeckers in South Asia, though, don't you?
Oh yeah, they have South.
Yeah, we've got the biggest woodpecker in the world. They got the great slaty woodpecker.
The slaty one.
Absolutely
That's a cool looking thing.
Yeah. Big pointy tail. Yeah, a lot of cool stuff you get from these tiny little piculets,
flamebacks.
And then you just get these monsters as well. So yeah, they're quite hard. I mean, they're a lot harder to see than a lot of the North American woodpeckers, the Asian ones. You'll come here and you'll get a checklist, and there'll be like 20 woodpeckers on there, and you struggle to see them. Really, it's.
That's what, because
why they're so uncommon. Maybe they were persecuted.
Pileated is so accessible. That's part of what makes it so amazing. Like, it doesn't. If you live in the range, like you go to the right sort of places, you're
gonna see it.
It's not uncommon to come across. Yeah.
I just find woodpeckers are at incredible densities in temperate places, U.S. and Europe. Yeah. Whereas the tropics in general, woodpeckers are just thin on the ground, and I've never quite understood why that is. Yeah. There's a much higher diversity in the tropics, but I think far lower populations, lower density of almost all species. So I'm curious to ask you, Nate, so you were a long-term blogger, and now you've been a long-term podcaster. I'll put you on the spot, and I'll ask you, do you prefer blogging or podcasting? I'm sure there's good and bad to both.
I'll tell you, podcasting is occasionally easier because you're just kind of speaking off the cuff rather than parsing over all the words that you're writing.
Yep.
Like I'm kind of a slow writer.
Fast talker.
Yeah, I guess so. There's something to be said for like just talking to someone and getting the same information and having the same thoughts. Although I do like write a lot of the script for the American Birding podcast, just to kind of get my thoughts in order. But as far as the interviews go, I write down a few questions and then I kind of go from there. And it takes like 20, 25 minutes, sometimes up to 40 to do an interview. I'm like, I could writing takes a bit longer than that for me. So it's nice. It's actually kind of nice.
Yeah.
I feel like I can be more productive as a podcaster than I was as a blogger.
Yeah, that's a good way to put it. I find there's just something very natural about podcasting. It just taps into something that seems to be quite natural to humans. It's sort of like sitting around a fire exchanging stories.
Yeah.
One of our listeners was talking about it was like sitting in the car with us, going on a drive and just chatting about birding stories in the back of the car, and that was...
Yeah, I've heard the same.
Good writing can be amazing, but it's really hard work, and it's also hard work to ingest good writing in a way. Mm-hmm. Podcasting is just different.
I'm reading Scott Weidensall's new book that's going to come out next month. He's going to be on the podcast in April, and
he's a good writer.
I mean, it's fantastic. Scott Weidensall's an amazing writer,
yep.
And but it is like to ingest it is hard. Sometimes I have to go back and read some passages more than once, and maybe I don't feel like I have to go back and listen to segments of podcasts more than once. Although I don't always. A lot of times I'm listening to podcasts when I'm like cooking dinner or in the car, and so it's sometimes I've got other things going on. I don't know. I think you probably go into a lot of detail about how people ingest podcasts versus how they ingest writing. It's different. It's totally different. Yeah.
Yeah.
Definitely. I'm curious to ask you, Nate, just what's going on with ABA these days. Charlie and I are a little bit disconnected from the American birding scene.
Sure. Yeah, right. We're hanging in there. It's been a tough year for a lot of people in the birding industry because of the pandemic, and so much of our income comes from partners in the travel industry, and they're hurting too right now, and it's all these second order, third order effects of the pandemic, and we're doing a lot more stuff like the podcast. Like Greg Neese, who is my colleague here, and I do a live bird ID show every 2 weeks on Facebook and on our social media stuff, and we've been doing more of that sort of thing, and we're still putting out a lot of content. Bird magazines, stuff like that keeps coming out, but it's tough because we have the birding community in the professional sense is relatively small, and it's hard to see so many of our friends suffering because of it. And we certainly love to work with them and do tours with them, and that's has both kind of community impacts and also kind of financial impacts on everybody. And we're hanging in there as best we can. I know you guys know what it's like.
Yep. It's been a strange...
We've totally had to reinvent ourselves during this time, man.
Oh, for real, yeah. No, I know. We turned from like a birding membership organization to like a content providing organization, like on the fly.
Yeah.
And it's been there have been fits and starts, but yeah, you do what you can, I guess.
But it's a good time for innovation. It's a good time to try new things. That's what I mean.
Totally.
Ken and I have had to reinvent ourselves, and we've built skills that we didn't have before. We've done things that we never had time to do before. So although there's been a big negative side with it, we've also there's a little bit of a silver lining.
Yeah, I think there's a lot of stuff that we've been doing during the pandemic that we're going to take forward into the post-pandemic that it's going to be pretty positive. So.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. Well, let's get into the Nate's top 5 lifetime wildlife sightings. I'm quite interested to hear these. On tours, Nate, we often
only one of them is a bird, funnily enough.
Oh, really?
Oh, really?
Yeah.
At the end of a tour, we often do. I ask everybody to come up with their top 5 experiences, and I always tell people this can be anything. Mm-hmm. This can be,
totally.
People, or it can be a great meal, or it can be a great cup of coffee, or mammal, bird, reptile, amphibian. And I just always find it incredibly interesting to see what people come up with. So I'll be fascinated to hear yours as an American birder. You said a couple of them
Yeah.
are in your home state there of North Carolina. So
Yeah, we have some great wildlife watching opportunities here in North Carolina. That
definitely.
maybe people,
Yeah, I love that.
they may or may not know, but
Outer Banks are incredible.
yeah, that's sort of where I'm heading. It's here, although I have seen some cool stuff in the mountains as well. But yeah, should I just jump into it? Should we do 5 to 1?
Jump into it, yeah.
Okay.
Number 5.
Right on. All right, so I'm going to start. I'm going to start with a mammal that I saw here in North Carolina. North Carolina, people may not know, has an endemic, well, not historically endemic, but currently endemic species of carnivore, and I have had the good fortune to see it once. It's super secretive. It's hard to find. It's red wolf.
I thought so.
And,
Yep.
So the entire population
Yeah.
of red wolf is at Alligator River National Wildlife Refuge in the eastern part of the state. And they've had, I mean, politically, it's like a really hot topic. You know, a lot of the people who run game parks out there and feed deer hate them, even though there's no evidence that they actually, you know, have much of an effect on the deer population. But anyway, you know, there's only a few of them, few dozen of them, and I've been to this Alligator River National Wildlife Refuge. I guess one of my favorite places in the state to bird. It's just like wide open fields and swampy forest, and there's just tons of really cool birds there, especially in the winter. More harriers, more raptors than you could like ever imagine. There's just tons of them.
Really?
And so a few years ago, I was leading a Carolina Bird Club trip, Carolina Bird Club meeting trip out there with a group of folks, and we were looking for anything. This is usually a lot of cool, as I said, a lot of cool raptor show. Usually black bear, which is always a crowd pleaser.
Nice.
Really?
And so we were driving these roads, and so they manage the road. They manage the fields in kind of a weird way. So they're like kind of in strips. So there's this tall grass here, and then they mow it down, and then there's tall grass and mow it down. So it's like this line of strips of various size vegetation. So we're out there watching these raptors fly over this field, and all of a sudden, like this big dog like comes out of the grass, and it's like, oh, red wolf. And so we all flip over and look at it, and it like stares at us. And so it's kind of hard to tell red wolf from coyote out there because they interbreed a lot. Actually, it's kind of a problem.
Really?
But red wolves have like, especially in the winter, are like this massive head and this big torso and like just really furry. And this thing just like bolts and starts coming across these lines and like diving into the tall grass, and then you'd run over and like you'd see it pop out of the other side in the short grass and run and then dive into the tall grass. And it kept doing this for a while until it disappeared. It was just such a cool experience because I've been out there so many times and never seen one, and you don't see them that often. And it was really cool.
I bet.
An animal that I'd wanted to see for a long time.
Is it a solitary animal or what? They're not in packs like the grey wolves.
Not in big packs. So they'll be like in pairs,
Right.
2s and 3s a lot of times.
Right.
Yeah. I mean it's an animal with a lot of history in North Carolina, and it's sad that it's the only ones left, and the federal government at various times has decided to protect them and not protect them, and it's kind of a mess, but still really cool to see. Apparently you can go out and hear them sometimes, like they howl in the early spring. A lot of people hear them, not very many people see them.
It's a good species. They're totally different from the grey wolves.
Oh, totally different from the gray wolf. The question now is like how many of them are kind of intergrades with coyote.
Yeah.
Which, ever since the red wolf kind of disappeared in the 1800s, coyotes moved in, and now they introduced the red wolves, and they kind of interbreed a little bit, and so there are a lot of these coy wolves. I don't know how to pronounce that, but
They call them coy wolves.
Yeah, coy wolves. Yeah. But this one that we saw was like pretty unequivocally red wolf. Like it's just the big head, big chest,
right,
and long legs. Yeah, cool animal. So that's my 5.
It's interesting. We've been talking a lot about different species of canids just in the last 2 or 3 episodes. Ken,
a lot of canid talk.
I was because
We've
been doing our top mammal lifetime mammal sightings, and I had maned wolf, and then Ken just wild dog and grey wolf. So this is very much in line with what we've been talking about the last few weeks.
Get the dog talk out there. Yeah. Happy to contribute.
That's fantastic. I just wanted to say, just before the episode, I actually had to look where North Carolina was on a map, but it's now firmly on my my list of places that I want to go, just to go and try for this red wolf.
It's north of
The
South
red wolf
Carolina.
is cool.
Just,
Alligator River is, yeah, they're really good for herps as well. A lot of cool snakes.
Really?
We have the largest diversity of salamanders in the world in North Carolina.
Really?
We just got they just described an endemic salamander
Really? Wow.
here in North Carolina,
Wow.
Sandhills uracea. It's really cool little orange thing. So that's cool. I haven't seen it. I have a friend that works for one of my good friends works for state parks as a inventory biologist, and like his job is just to go to all the state park properties and count like everything he sees. So he's got kind of a dream job. So he's seen it. He's been talking up this Sandhills uracea. But we have a ton of really cool salamanders, especially in the mountains.
it's a big dragonfly hotspot as well, right?
It is. Yeah, the Southeast is just like great in terms of diversity. It's underrated.
Cool.
Number 4. So a few years ago, I got to go to Honduras on a kind of Leica junket to help promote a new binocular that they were putting out. And so I was with a bunch of really cool naturalists, some tour leaders, some content producers, stuff like that. It was a really, really good group of really serious naturalists, and we were like burning the candles on both ends, getting up really early and going birding and staying up late at night to walk through the forest and look for cool stuff. We found like red-eyed tree frog and all sorts of things. But one of the coolest things we found when we were walking at night, so we'd walk with our big flashlights, like staring up, and we found this tree. I forget exactly what kind. It might have been I don't think it was a ceiba tree, but it was something like that. But it was fruiting, so there was always like a lot of cool stuff in there. And so we found, kinkajou, and it was a good place to look for toucans and stuff during the day. But when we were hanging out under this tree, flashing our lights up there, and I forget who found it, but we were moving along the limbs trying to look for stuff, and we found a prehensile-tailed porcupine up there.
Ooh.
I think it was
nice.
Mexican prehensile-tailed porcupine, which is such a cool critter. One that I'd wanted to see in the wild for a long time. I'd seen it in zoos and nature centers and stuff, but yeah, super cool. Hanging up there, such a weird looking thing with like that flat head, flat nose, and that long tail and all the spikes, obviously. So that was a really cool experience just because of the people I was with, and a neat animal in there. But that was just a great trip all around. A lot of cool.
Did you get to look for the endemic Honduran emerald?
We did. We found it. Yeah, we did. We got a great experience with the Honduran emerald. Yeah, we went out. It's in that kind of dry area in the northwest of the country. We got Honduran emerald, lesser roadrunner that day. Some cool stuff.
Fantastic.
Yeah.
So I have really not been, I really haven't been aware of this porcupine, but I'm just looking it up, and it's hilarious looking. I can see why
it's
that was a highlight.
Yeah. It looks like a Muppet.
We often Google stuff like during the podcast and kind of look at pictures.
Yeah. It's a weird looking animal.
There was a sort of arboreal porcupine in Ecuador as well, and I never saw this thing. I saw a picture of it. Mm-hmm. Some client that just turned up, they managed to see it. But I did once see a whole bunch of spines, and it looked like some kind of maybe like a puma or something had grabbed this thing out of a tree.
Oh, really?
And managed to chow down on it, and there was just a whole bunch of spines on the ground.
Yeah. Oh, that's cool. Yeah, they don't move much. I could think they would be pretty easy to catch if you're a puma, although obviously the hazard of all the spikes, but they're pretty soft underneath, as far as I know.
Grab it by the tail.
Yeah, right, swing it around. So I'm going to go back to North Carolina for number 3. One of the best things about living in this state is the proximity to the Outer Banks and pelagic birding, which is one of my favorite kinds of birding. So I've had good luck to go out with Brian Pattison on his seabirding on the Stormy Petrel 2. And we see all sorts of cool stuff out there. It's such a neat ecosystem that you don't really get to experience on land. And probably the coolest thing I've ever seen out there, I've seen a lot of really neat whale species. Sperm whale is pretty common. Rough-toothed dolphin was a really neat one. But the coolest whale we ever saw was you're probably familiar with beaked whales. Super kind of secretive, deep diving, not a lot of records of them. The Gulf Stream off North Carolina is one of the best places in the world to see a couple of the species, and one of them is Gervais beaked whale. And, I'd seen it before. Usually it's like just kind of a back on the distance. You see like a shiny, glossy gray thing out there, and it's like, oh, it's Gervais beaked whale. But there was one time we went out. It was in June, and my dad was actually on the boat with me, which made it even cooler. And we had this incredible experience with Draveik's beaked whale. We could have been. There's only like a handful of people in the world who've seen it this close, but it was a small pod. 6 or 7 of them came, and they were like maybe not 20 feet off the boat. And when you get like close to these things, they're not that big. They're, maybe at 50% again, bigger than a bottlenose dolphin. But they have these cool stripes, like these tiger stripes on their back, that you don't see at a distance, but you can see when they're close up. And it was just super cool to see that thing. And to know that, not very many people in the world have had that sort of experience with that whale. That was super awesome.
I'm looking at some photos online of it right now, and I can see those tiger stripes there. It's funny, it's got sort of the face of a dolphin, but like the sort of big kind of fat body. It's like a sort of combination of a whale and a dolphin. It's like something in between.
Yeah, totally. And usually there's a couple species of beaked whale that you can see off North Carolina I won't say with some regularity, but I mean you're likely to see them there. So you see Gervais and Cuvier's, which is much bigger, and I've never seen that one close, but they do kind of do that spy hopping thing sometimes. You can see like their teeth. They have these the males have these teeth that stick out from their lower jaw. It's pretty wild. Really? So Gervais was super neat. But one thing I love about pelagic birding is that like you never know what you're going to see. Like the options are almost completely open, and that's what keeps you getting out there, even when you're seasick and sunburnt and covered in salt.
Well, beaked whales as a group are a nemesis of mine. I've never seen any kind of beaked whale, so I'm definitely jealous.
I have either.
All right, cool. I was afraid that I wasn't going to impress y'all, so
I'm well gripped.
I know you guys have seen so much.
I'm gripped by all 3 so far. So
right on, cool.
I don't tend to get very jealous of anything that anybody sees at sea, because I just get so seasick.
Yeah.
That it's like I'm quite happy just to sort of, accept that I'm not going to see these things unless I can see them from the coast.
Yeah, it's strange too, because the experiences you have with especially with cetaceans offshore, like they're not always like super great. Like a lot of times it's a distant animal on the horizon, just a big glossy black thing. And that's how we've seen like sperm whale for the most part. They look like a big black log just kind of floating on the water. Like they don't really do a lot. But when you get those opportunities when they come close and you get to see them and like you can see under the water, because the water is really clear and blue out there, and you can see pretty deep.
Oh, cool!
And you can see like their face and the whole form and stuff. It makes those experiences all the better. Yeah.
That Gulf Stream is like another world. I've done a few of those trips with Brian Pattison as well, really both cool. Winter and summer. And man, you hit and you can see the line sometimes, right? When you hit the Gulf Stream.
Totally. Yeah,
and it's just like suddenly you're in this like profoundly pelagic place, and it's just really
it's alien,
remarkable.
It feels alien. Yeah. It's and I know the break, what Brian calls it, from the kind of colder gray inshore water and that blue kind of sapphire blue warm Gulf Stream water. It's like sometimes it's like super dramatic, like there's a line there that goes from gray to blue, and it's pretty cool.
You're making me want to do a pelagic. Yeah, last 2.
So my last 2 are kind of together, and they're probably ones that you've seen since, Ken, you're in Africa. So I got to go to Uganda a few years ago, about 4 years ago, as part of a familiarity trip with BirdLife Africa, and they treated us right. It was super. We got to go to a lot of the kind of classic places, and it was kind of a quick trip. A lot of times people want to spend a little more time, spend a couple weeks in the country, moving around. We were kind of abbreviated it to 10 days, but we still had a great group of people in my car, and we saw a ton of birds. Like that safari vehicle birding in Africa. That is where it's at. Like standing up in the safari vehicle, looking out over the veldt. That is fun birding.
It's something, eh? Just
I agree.
360 view all around, and it's amazing.
It's really cool. Yeah, and so when you're in Uganda, there's a couple species that kind of stand out, and those 2 are probably my top wildlife experiences. The first one being shoebill. Talking about animals that look like Muppets. I'd seen them in zoo. I think Washington Zoo has a shoe bill, but it's different. You're out on Mabamba Swamp. You're riding in the little boat. You come across those reeds, and there's like this weird prehistoric looking bird standing in the middle of them, and it's such a superlative bird and such a superlative experience. And you're out in the swamp, and you come across this weird looking thing. It's just really cool to see it. And the last one, obviously, as I said, maybe it's a little basic. But the mountain gorilla experience at Bawindi is unreal. The fact that you're like within these groups and they're kind of doing their thing, and you're like there, just kind of in witnessing it, is I don't know. I've never had an experience like it, and it is. Yeah, I mean, people talk about it as one of the greatest wildlife experiences you can have. I would agree with that. It was pretty crazy and pretty amazing.
So Ken chatted about this a couple of weeks ago, 2-3 weeks ago, and that hurt, and I feel like it's sort of adding insult to injury now. You're sort of rubbing salt in my salt in my wounds. So yeah, I've traveled a lot in Africa, done a lot of birding, but I haven't done that yet. So yeah. Anyway, it's fine. I feel resolved to that. I've got to get there.
It's all right, Charlie. Nate and I can chat about the awesomeness of mountain gorillas. You can just just stay on the sidelines. It's okay.
They tell you to just not do anything and just let them do the thing. And so I was sitting on the ground, and they were passing you like within a foot. And the silverback comes up to me, and he looks at me, and he does this feint, whoo. And I got it on video, and
no way.
It's legitimately kind of frightening. And then he stopped and turned around and just did his own thing. And I didn't do anything. I'm just sitting there. I'm trying to be as inconspicuous as possible. And that, yeah.
I guess you're allowed to look them in the eyes. And I know some animals, when you sort of look them in the eyes, it's considered like a threat. But I think with gorillas, they sort of
they say
it's not.
They say not to if there's
not to look them in the eyes
if they seem to be threatened, or if they're
okay.
It can be taken as a challenge.
Yeah, you don't want to challenge it. It's a big animal.
You got to read their body language.
Yeah.
It can bench press about 2,000 pounds, so it can definitely take you. It doesn't matter who you are.
I was gonna say if I did have to choose a way to die, I think getting ripped limb by limb by a gorilla would be a pretty awesome way to go.
Yeah, I'd be this is not part
go out with a bang.
I don't want to contribute to the unfair representation of this animal, but
they're so gentle.
Yeah. Seriously, I mean it. Yeah,
it was my fault.
I found it to be I found it to be a completely different experience than the chimpanzees, which we did, a few days later.
You did as well, yeah.
Yeah, the gorillas don't care. The chimpanzees seem to be sort of aware that you're following them and really want to put you through your paces. We followed this one, and he seemed to enjoy going through the most difficult, cutting the most difficult possible trail through the woods, and making us follow him through the brambles and the thorns and all off the path and all that stuff. And the gorillas didn't care, but the chimpanzees seemed to I know you're here. I'm gonna mess with you. So.
Well, that's impressive that 2 of your lifetime top 5 were in Uganda on the same trip. That's pretty amazing trip, pretty amazing place.
It was a great trip, and a really cool place.
Does it make you want to go back to Africa?
Yeah.
Yes, absolutely. A different part of Africa. I mean, I go back to Uganda. There's stuff I left there. I missed the the green-breasted pitta. That was kind of frustrating.
Okay.
But you got to leave some stuff there.
Oh yeah.
Give you an excuse to come back.
There's 1,000 birds. So yep.
Oh, totally. Yeah. Fingers crossed that when we're traveling again and the ABA is going places, maybe I can hook up with that.
Yeah. I'm curious whether you have honorable mentions or things that almost make the list. What are you leaving off your top 5?
Oh, yeah, I did. I was trying to think of some different taxa so I could get some diversity in there. Let's see. It's the Galapagos tortoise. Good one.
Ooh, yeah.
Okay. Yeah.
That was I was on a trip that wasn't necessarily a birding trip. It was actually a gift from my in-laws to my wife and I when we got married. So
really?
We went with them, And it was cool. Like I wasn't as good a birder then as I or a serious birder then as I was now. So I left a lot of stuff on the table. But it's.
So this was your honeymoon.
It's sort of, yeah.
Sort of.
And
you got to do some birding on your honeymoon. That's it. That's pretty cool.
It's best to, it's hard not to do birding in the Galapagos because the birds kind of make it. I mean, they're like right in your face. They don't care.
They're right there.
And I remember the tortoise was cool, but like swallowtail gull is such a neat animal.
Ooh,
and all the tropic birds.
That's what I want to see.
I have really good memories of we were on the boat and like everyone kind of goes down below deck in the middle of the day, and I would like go to the top deck and just sea watch and see things like Galapagos petrel and the shearwaters kind of just cruising between the islands and stuff. We were a little too early for the albatross, which I was a little disappointed by, but
shame.
Still no albatrosses I've seen, but let's see, grizzly bear, always sort of flashy.
Yep.
I love our black bears in North Carolina because they're the fattest black bears in the world.
Really?
Because they
What do
don't
they eat?
everything. They don't hibernate is the thing because it's mild enough
Just
here
eat
in
the
North
whole
Carolina. They just eat the whole time, and so by the end of the winter,
Yeah.
they look like a Volkswagen Bug in a bear suit. Like they're just massive round things that look like they can barely move. So that was definitely an honorable mention one. Jeez, yeah. Had a cool experience with long-eared owl a few years ago. That's definitely short-eared owl. Every time I see one of those, I always think of that as like one of the great birding experiences.
I agree. Like
animal.
like winter sunset, like hawking over a
Yes.
field or a march. Yeah, it's just
Exactly.
magical.
That's exactly it. Yeah, and that was at Alligator River. Actually, was my best short-eared owl experience. It's these big fields, and the harriers are out there, and then like the harriers start disappearing and getting replaced by short-eared owls, like little by little.
Did you only see the red wolf once there?
Only once, yeah. So
Really? And how many times have you been there?
dozens.
Oh, really?
Yeah,
Dozens,
it's
like sort of 30?
yeah.
I'm trying to gauge my chances of seeing them if I went there.
It's not good. I'll tell you that.
Not good, really.
Doesn't sound promising.
They
No.
every time I go to the Outer Banks, I love going to the Outer Banks, both as a birding and both with family, just because the beach and I stop at Alligator River and just kind of tool around. It's on the way out there, and you can just spend 45 minutes an hour just kind of driving some of the main roads just to see what you see. And
Right.
yeah, sometimes you're lucky and sometimes you're not. You know how it is. It's a not a very high population, not a high density in a really big area, and sometimes you come across them.
Yeah.
Sometimes you just intersect.
What's the population of those red wolves?
Oh boy, I don't think it's more than 200.
Wow. Now, at some point, those populations, red wolf, would have been connected with gray wolf populations, right? So it's weird that they're
Pleistocene,
so
I think.
discrete. Okay,
Yeah,
so a long
maybe
time
it's
ago.
like 45,000, 50,000 years ago. Yeah, it's been a while, and of course, red wolf used to range all across the southeast, all the way down to all across the coastal plain into East Texas. They disappeared pretty early because that's where all the people were living.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, gray wolf kind of hung on just because people took longer to get out to that part, or settlers took longer to get there. Obviously, lots of other people out there, but yeah. So red wolf had a bad go of it from the start.
I've seen some really big and really reddish coyotes in East Texas, and I've thought, man, they must have some genes of red
somewhere
wolf.
back in there. Yeah.
Yeah. So I guess that they were not in contact, gray wolf and red wolf, for the past, whatever you said, 40,000 years. They had discrete
I'd
ranges.
have to check that out. That's my sense. They're pretty different. I mean, I've seen gray wolf too in the West, and they're kind of longer legged. They're a little more slender. Some people think of them as subspecies of gray wolf. The whole canid, genetics is kind of a mess anyway. But
Yeah. I guess they've got some in captivity as well, eh?
yeah, they're pretty common in captivity here. The North Carolina
really?
Zoo
Okay.
has a couple, and the
Right.
Museum of Life and Science in Durham has a few that have had some success, have some breeding success. And I think the idea is that they release them every once in a while, but because of the federal protection of them has been so mixed. Reintroduction stuff has been really messy politically because of all the people out there are scared of wolves, and they fight.
You were
every
saying
time
something
you wanna
like
release it.
people were worried about them killing deer or something, or what do
Yeah,
they normally eat?
They'll eat deer, but usually not the kind that people want to hunt, right? So they're looking for those trophy stags, and that's
Right, so
big.
the smaller ones, yeah.
Yeah, so they'll eat fawns, they'll eat small mammals, they'll eat birds if they can catch them, because there's a ton of wintering tundra swans in that part of the state as well.
Oh,
And
really? Wow.
they'll eat those, and I mean, there's not a lot of large herbivores out there anyway. White-tailed deer is really the only one. And people, that fear of wolves runs deep, and it's hard to beat. It's like the same story everywhere that wolves live. The conflict between humans and wolves is a hard one to overcome.
Yep, we were talking about how coyotes though seem to be evolving into a wolf in places where there are no wolves. So
yeah, in the east. Yeah,
bigger and bigger.
And coyotes are cool. I mean, I love coyotes, and people are always surprised to know that they're super common. They're just like really good at not being seen. And I've seen urban coyotes every once in a while when I've been out birding in kind of urban areas, and they always look very surprised. And like most of them are nocturnal now, which apparently is not historically the case in places where they don't have a lot of interactions with humans. They're diurnal. They're just able to kind of switch their behavior based on interactions with people, like just avoiding that, which is really cool. That such a kind of large predator can make it.
Yeah, amazing.
Everything. So be so adaptable.
Yeah. I remember hearing, in Lake Michigan off of Chicago, there are these like weird, like artificial islands that are like more than a mile offshore, and apparently coyotes have like colonized those islands. So it's like a huge city and like little artificial islands in a big lake, and then they swam out and colonized those islands. And I guess there's enough rats or something. It's just wow, what an adaptable animal.
You gotta respect that.
Yeah, no kidding.
Yeah,
It can survive anywhere.
Yeah,
Eat anything. I love canids. That was really my second natural history love after snakes. So birds was like a distant third or fourth or something.
Yeah, I was sort of the same way too. Like when I was young, like it was snakes and bugs for me, and still, those things hold a real close place in my heart. Like I would call myself a birder, but as you can see with my top 5, like I would get excited about mammals as much. You just don't see them as often. So it's hard to be a mammaler because you have to. It's too hard. There's too many bats and rodents to like really be a mammaler. Too hard to identify those things. And but the charismatic stuff. Oof, yeah, I'm here for that.
There's very few birds that would compete with a top mammal sighting. Like a wolf or a gorilla or something like that. There's not many birds that could sort of compete with that level of awesomeness.
Yeah, I agree. I would actually agree with you. They'll take away my birding card for that, but I would agree with you.
But we love birds as well.
Well, I hear American Mammaling Association is looking for a podcaster, so just
well, it'll be monthly. It's harder to put that.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Well, we should let you go before the ice storm hits. Thanks so much for coming on the Naturally Adventurous, Nate.
Yeah.
It's been we could chat all day, but
it's been great chatting.
Yeah, absolutely. Thanks for sharing your top 5.
Oh, cool. Yeah, thanks. Hopefully we'll run into each other down the road.
Yep, when we can all kind of move around.
You'll be expecting a visit from me in North Carolina. I'm going to come for that wolf for sure.
Yeah, give me a ring. I'll go out there and look for it.
You will. Awesome.
Yeah.
I'm there. If you make it to Thailand, give me a call.
Will do.
Folks, definitely check out the American Birding Association podcast. An excellent podcast, all kinds of great topics. And we'll catch you here on Naturally Adventurous about a week from now. And thanks again, Nate.
Yeah, thanks.
Our natural sound this week is going to be the amazing red wolf. This recording is courtesy of the Wolf Conservation Center in South Salem, New York. And we'll put their link in the description below. Okay, see you next week.